Hello and welcome to another Typical Boro podcast. As always, I'm your host, Steve Dixon. We're recording this on a Saturday for a change because I'm off on my holidays on Sunday, off to Greece, off to Corfu, can't wait. So we're doing it a bit earlier than usual, which is great because obviously Middlesbrough have just thrashed Millwall by 3-0 at the Den. So I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm looking at my screen, and on my screen I have the Boro version of Ant and Dec, the back, Mr. Cutler, Mr. Bandera. Welcome to the podcast, boys. You okay?
Evening, Dicko. All good, pal. Brilliant.
Yeah, it was good till you referenced us as Ant and Dec. This is my last one. If that ever happens again, I'm gone.
I did see the Boro version. I did see the Boro version.
Chuckle Brothers.
Just a little bit of housekeeping to let you all know. Obviously, we've got the prize draw with Midas Claddon going on for the 2 Boro kits strips available. That's going to be drawn on the 22nd of August, 5 p.m. That's your last chance to get into the draw. The next podcast, the next Typical Boro podcast, because I've just told you I'm going to be away, won't be next weekend. It's going to be on Tuesday, the 26th of August. That's when we'll announce the winners for the strips, for the 2 tops. And we're going to be live on YouTube. We're going to be live on Facebook, on the Red, and live on the radio, on the Red radio, from 6 p.m. on the 26th of August. So that's going to be the next podcast after this one. Right. We'll get into what's been going on. We're not going to talk about Millwall yet, even though we're very excited about it. We're just going to go back, but we're not going to waffle on too long about this. But since the last podcast, we did have a cup game against Doncaster Rovers. We all thought it was an important game for the club, for momentum to kick on, for players to stake the claim to get into Rob Edwards' squad. That didn't quite happen, did it, Mr. Bandera?
No, not at all. We got absolutely massacred, to be fair. 5 changes, which doesn't sit well with me. Personally, I would have liked to have seen us gone with pretty much the same team that beat Swansea. Just give them players an opportunity to get a bit of momentum, get another win under the belts. But it wasn't to be. Too many changes for me. People will say, well, they made 11 changes, but I think if you make 2 or 3 changes in any team, both sides, it becomes a bit of a leveller. So it was a free hit for them. We had everything to lose. They had everything to gain. They came here to win, and to be fair, they played us off the park. As soon as we pushed our full-backs or wing-backs on, they just vacated that free space, and the 2 wingers tore us apart. Balls into the box, every opportunity. Then they had runners picking us off on the edge of the box to fire shots away, and credit to them. I thought they were brilliant on the night. But the whole evening for us was a bit of a mess. It was a game that Edwards probably didn't want so soon in the season, if I'm honest. It did give him opportunity to shuffle the squad around, but came away from that game thinking the squad is still painfully weak. And since then, we've brought in some players, and that makes a massive difference. I'm sure we're going to talk about one of the players that was signed after that game a bit later on, who made a massive impact today. So more players like that, please. And looking at some of the players that we've been linked with, it's very, very exciting. I was happy with the 3 that we brought in initially, particularly shoring up the defensive side of things. And the way the season's panning out in the league so far, it's looking quite fruitful, really. 2 clean sheets, so long may that continue. So yeah, delighted.
Cuts, I think it's fair to say some of Middlesbrough's fringe players that got a real good opportunity to play at the Riverside Stadium in the Cup against opposition that we should be beaten. No disrespect to Doncaster, and I think, in my opinion, you had Tom Glover come in. You had chances for Barlassa, and Gilbert didn't even make the squad, make the pitch, which tells you everything about Gilbert and Barlassa in terms of what Rob Edwards is thinking. But the ones that did play, McCormick, Glover, Force, Hamilton, nobody come in, did they, and really said, I need to be in that team. There were some disappointing performances on the night, wasn't there?
Yeah, like Graham said, fair play to Doncaster from minute 1. They were in our faces. Everything that I want to see our club doing, attacking, good football. They absolutely battered us, to be fair. No complaints about the result. And anyone who was wanting to be banging the manager's door down, there'll have been no one knocking on that door at 9:45.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, we'll move on. It was a bad night for Middlesbrough. Congratulations to Doncaster, fully deserved win. I thought they were tremendous on the night. Some good performances by them, and let's not forget they made 11 changes themselves. So they might have a decent season. Doncaster have had a decent start. So after that game, we got a little bit of good news, a little bit of a bright spot when we're seeing that Sonjay Hansen had signed for Middlesbrough for €3.5 million from NEC. I was very excited about that signing. He's a player that I've watched, player that I thought could fit the way we play. He's quick, he's direct, he's skillful. Exactly all the things we've been lacking in the final third. Cuts, I'll come to you on the signing of Sonjay Hansen. Obviously, before not your opinion before today's performance. Were you happy to see a player of that calibre come to the football club?
Yeah, I just think fans get a little bit excited sometimes that we're bringing a foreign player in or someone from abroad. Now, you've got to see them on the pitch first and see how they perform. Obviously, you can watch a few videos, but we've signed players on YouTube videos before and have been absolutely US. I want players to come through the door. Rob Edwards wants players to come through the door. We all know that we need it. So let's give him a few run-outs and let's see what we've got. Like I've said, I've backed Kieran with some of the players he's brought in. I think in general he's done a pretty good job. So let's hope this is another little gem that we've found. Time will tell.
Bandy, I'll just come to you. Obviously, we have seen him play now. Just your initial reaction on the signing and what you've seen after today's cameo performance from Sonjay.
I've seen enough already to suggest we've got a terrific player there. I looked at the footage prior to the game. He sent links to me and we had a good look at him. And he can play off the right, he can play off the left, he can float around in that 10 position. His touch is quick, he's direct, he wants to take players on. It's everything as a fan that you want to see. And he's definitely going to be a player that will get bums off seats, I'm sure, because he's just exciting. He's full of little tricks. You don't know what he's going to do. And he found himself in these pockets of space today, and he had a hand in our first goal. So absolute credit to him. I thought he was great.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's going to be a good player, but let's not get carried away to see him with Alpha Kanti, with like his little cameos and stuff as well. But they've got to do it consistently, like Cuts has said, over a period of time. But good initial signs. So we'll get to the good stuff. Get in. Middlesbrough 3, Millwall 0 at the Den.
Amazing.
Never a better place to do it.
Wow.
You go to the Den, it's, old school ground, the crowd are on top of you, it's intimidating and all the rest of it. Yet Middlesbrough today have stood up, puffed their chests out and, really done the club proud. So I'm gonna let you guys talk about that. 2,401 Boro fans made the long journey down, which is
absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely amazing. That the backing the Boro fans got today was sensational. Rob Edwards and the players, you can see, are really enjoying the Middlesbrough support, which, I think it's been neglected over the last few years a little bit by the previous regime, and it's good to see that connection between the manager and the fans, both during the game and after the game. So that was a big plus today. Stat for you boys: Middlesbrough have won back-to-back games for the first time since 1994. 31 years since the last time Middlesbrough won the opening 2 games, and that was Lenny Lawrence's Reds before Brian Robson come in, won the first 2 games. So it's not very often the Borough win the opening 2 games, so that's a fantastic statistic. So I'll start with you, Graham, on the lineup in the first half. Only one change. Alpha Kanti came in for Delano Bergzog, who dropped to the bench. Happy with the team?
Yeah, in the main, yes. But personally, I would have started Hansen in replacement of Bergzog. I was surprised he pushed Hackney that far forward. I know he can play there, but to play a player, I'd say out of position, to be honest, because he addressed that at half-time, and then we saw, for me, the real Hackney in the second half. So I think Hackney's got to be pivotal in that centre of the park. He plays so well with Morris. The understanding they have is integral to everything that we do well. So I just thought he was a little bit lost in that first half. He didn't know whether whether to push on or to drop in. You did find himself sort of regressing quite often just to try and help out what was going on in that central midfield, because we did get overrun. First 20, 25 minutes, I thought we struggled to get a foothold in the game, and that was down to Millwall's aggressive press. They didn't let us play out. We were playing short. We were playing short too often. A few balls just were passed aimlessly into space, just on the edge of our D, and we were putting ourselves under unnecessary pressure. You look at the inability to play out sometimes under Carrick, and that was quite evident in that first 15 minutes where we did try to undo ourselves, but we learned from that quite quickly. Manager addressed it at half time. Once we got the first goal, it was just one-way traffic, and we looked a really, really good team. But again, we weathered that 20-minute spell, and then sort of gained a foothold into the game. Finished the half strongly, but what was telling for me was that how pivotal that back line is now. It does look very, very solid, particularly with the 3 centre backs. I think it suits us. It suits the personnel we have. And I'm so pleased that he's come in and addressed them issues quite quickly. And we do look like a solid team. I know it's only 2 games in, but for Middlesbrough FC to get 2 clean sheets to start a season, like you just mentioned, that stat goes back to Lenny Lawrence. It's no mean feat, because we're not used to stopping goals. We've got into this habit of leaking really, really poor goals. And
An interesting point you made, Graham, just regarding Canty, just to pick it up on that. You're saying,
yeah,
do you feel, after watching today's game, maybe Canty and Morris were trying to do the same job, and you don't need 2 people doing the same job? You need one and one a little bit different. And moving forward, it's going to have to be Canty or Morris playing alongside Hackney, perhaps.
I think that's just unfamiliarity. I think that's Kante learning a new league. He's settling into a new team. He probably doesn't even know much about Morris, to be honest. I don't think he can speak much English apart from saying thank you to Dale Fry. That's about it. So, I mean, he's a top kid. He's absolutely brilliant. He's got that infectious smile. He gets stuck in. That's what you want as a fan. You want to see players like that. He actually played well today, but it just didn't quite suit him in the middle of that park. At times we were getting massacred in there, and it was a baptism of fire for him to be thrown in at the Den in his second game in a Boro shirt is tough. And I could see why Edwards sort of brought him off, probably to protect him as well. But the game did turn, but I don't think it was because he went off. I just think it's because we got Hackney in his rightful position, and he was able to find that area of space to get on the end of that shot for the first goal. So brilliant. He was class today, Hackney. Absolutely quality. Even though he's a little bit indifferent,
just grew into the game, though. I thought, like, when you go to these places, you've got to quieten the crowd. You've got to weather a little bit of a storm. And I thought Middlesbrough done that, and we did struggle for the first 20 minutes, but then we seemed to get it. It wasn't like they were battering with goal. Solbrun wasn't pulling off worldy saves or anything like that. They were
started to go along.
They were just on the front foot a bit more. And I thought once we weathered the initial storm, I thought Middlesbrough grew into the game, and I thought Middlesbrough finished the half the stronger. And I think that maybe is why Rob Edwards made the change and thought, we can actually win this if I get a bit more pace, a bit more creativity, and have a bit of a go second half. I think this game's there for the taking, because I thought, Cuts, that we finished the half the stronger team.
Yeah, I'd agree. With regards to playing Kante and Morris together, I think it's horses for courses. I think get plenty of different challenges in the Championship, and I'm sure there'll be games where they are needed together, especially maybe not if they're not starting together, but certainly to close games out.
Yeah.
I'll come to you, Bandy, on the second half. Just one final point on the first half, which might get forgotten about with all the goals and the great play. Second half was really, really important clearance off the line by Luke Ayling, who was my man of the match last week. And I thought that was a really important moment in the game right before half time when Luke Ayling clears that off the line. So again, really important role by Luke Ayling. So second half, Graham.
I thought he was brilliant again.
Yeah, he was. Second half, Graham. Great start by the Boro. Sonjay Hansen off the bench. A Maradona spin turn. Incredible bit of skill. Absolutely brilliant. Pirouetted the player. Knocks the ball through to Whittaker. Whittaker gets in the box. Pulls it back. I think he meant it for Hayden Hackney, who comes in doing what he should be doing more often. Hayden Hackney getting in the box. Getting in the box. He got in the box like I want to see him doing, because he's got it in his locker. Smashes it in the net. Up to the Millwall fans. Have a bit of that. Fingers in the ears. Great start of the half.
Magical. That's what we want to see. Going back to Ayling, he'd actually won the ball in our half for the first goal, and then he progressed it forward. He nearly actually put it out of play, but it was kept in, and then Hansen went on his little run, linked up beautifully with Whittaker, and played a little ball into Hackney, and he finished it with finesse. Beautiful goal. But yeah, that change at half time was pivotal for me. I actually did tweet. I thought we just needed that connection between midfield and Conway. Conway again was isolated. He was quite frustrated again today. We might talk about that possible penalty as well, which I didn't think was a penalty, but that's just my
Well,
opinion.
go on. Let's have it out. You've brought it up. It was the first half.
I just thought it was. I thought it was foolish of him. I actually thought he could have got a shot off either with a flick from outside of his right boot, or just to wrap his left foot round it and try and put it under the keeper's legs. I think it was just going a little bit too far. Defender was just behind him, and I think he felt a hand on his back, so he thought, I'm going down. And his reaction when the keeper called him out, the keeper went up to him and says, you're a cheat, whatever, I don't know. He couldn't look at him, he couldn't face him in the eye, so I think he's tried to do him a little bit there, and I was a bit embarrassed, really. Could have got a shot off. You never know what could have happened.
If he had touched him, Conway would have been in the referee's face. And I think it was telling that he didn't even go up the referee. So for me, it wasn't a penalty. Like,
I've seen them given, I would say. I think he did look for it. I think Bandy's right. I think he knocked the ball too far in front of himself, realised he wasn't going to get the shot off, and started to go down, hoping for a touch. However, it was poor goalkeeping because he got nothing on the ball, didn't need to do what he'd done, and he did touch him. So he asked the question, the goalkeeper. Now, I'm not saying he didn't make it easy. I'm not saying he didn't go down. He did. All I'm saying is, just putting it out there, I've seen them given.
Oh,
but
of course. That's
why
the game's so erratic.
It was a 50-50. I've seen them given in the modern game. He did go down too easy. I think he was looking for it, but I've seen them given. So it was one of them, but didn't get it.
As it happens, we probably won't be talking about it anymore after this because we've won the game anyway. If that was,
it didn't matter.
If that was integral to the end result, then we'd be fuming, you know. So anyway, don't worry about it.
Exactly. So back to the game cuts. I thought Middlesbrough again second half, some terrific play in the midfield. Hayden Hackney was fantastic second half. Aidan Morris probably put in my opinion, his best 45 minutes for a long, long time in a Boro shirt. Aidan Morris second half. Thought he was tremendous. The players stepped up. They pushed on to Millwall, asked questions of them. And by the time we got the second goal from Alfie Jones, I think, that was game, set and match and well deserved. I never felt in much danger second half cuts. I thought we looked really solid at the back and we looked decent on the counter attack. And nice also, which I thought helped, to see the return of Finn Azaz.
Yeah, we all rate Finn highly. I think the only real chance they had was Coburn hitting both posts.
Wow.
Little
I think we knew our luck was in then, didn't we?
A little bit of luck with that.
And it lands on Aylin's thigh as well.
I'm going to mention a player who I think is getting a little bit of unfair criticism. He got absolute pelters after the Doncaster game. Morgan Whittaker. I thought he was pretty good today. His work rate's not in question for me. I think he works really hard. I think he links up with other players pretty well. He's not been here that long, and he's got a new style of play, new players around him. I just urge some of the fans to get behind him, and some of the stuff that I was reading the other day, it was ridiculous, to be honest with you. So fair play to him today. I thought he worked really hard, linked up really well with some of the forward players, and especially on that right-hand side. So I just want to mention him.
Bandy, would you agree with cuts on Whittaker, or are you still in the camp that he's not offering enough?
I'm in between. I want him to do well because I can see talent there. He's got a fantastic left foot, and I like the way he can drop his shoulder, drift in off the right. He's always looking to shoot, which is a positive. I just want him to be a bit more aggressive. I want him to be horrible. He seems quite accepting of getting pushed over, and I noticed today when Azaz come on, he looked like a new player in terms of physicality and aggression. So I think he's been working on that. I just think in time, Whittaker needs to knuckle down, just become a little bit more stronger and a bit more fearsome, because there's definitely talent there. And a player like that, you've got to persist with, but he's got to start showing quite quickly. He'll claim an assist today, probably. I know he knocked it into to Hansen, who then popped it off to Hackney. But he got the corner last week against Swansea, so he's contributing. But I think he's doing himself a disservice because I think he can contribute more. I think there's a better player there than what he's showing. Maybe confidence, maybe not quite settled yet on T side. You just don't know. Don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but he just seems to lack a little bit for me. You know, if you're at school, your teacher would say he needs a rocket up his backside. That kid, you know, he's got all the talent in the world, but he needs a kick up the backside to get him going. I just think he needs a bit of that. That's all.
I think if he's a bit braver, he probably scores first half. He has a real good chance with his head, which I think Conway probably sticks away. And he didn't go in properly for it.
He's
got
to dive for that. That's what lets him down. At times he looks like he's got the heart the size of a pea.
Yeah,
and if he
there's a player in there. He's talented. He got 19 goals for Plymouth in a poor side. There's a talented player there. I agree with John in terms of he has got quality, flitting it out of games with bits of good play. But for me, I agree on this with Bandy. He still has to do more. He hasn't done enough. 19 games for Middlesbrough, no goals, 2 assists. Isn't good enough for a player of his potential quality in a £6 million signing. I think the pressure is going to be on him very, very quickly when we talk about the potential players that could be coming to the football club when we're going to the transfer situation. And today, second half, when you're seeing the impact of Sanjay Hansen, you're seeing a rejuvenated, for me, Finn Azaz coming on. Finn Azaz, I've seen more effort, more tackles, more commitment in that cameo today than I've seen in the whole of last season under Michael Carrick. It looked like he had a real point to prove. He looked like he was wanting to get stuck in. He was tracking back. He was doing a sliding tackle in the corner.
I was going to say his first touch was doing
none of that. None of that. Which it was incredible to see the difference in tactics and obviously the impact of Rob Edwards. He's obviously maybe Rob. I don't know this, but maybe Rob Edwards has had a word with Finn Azaz and said, "Listen, you're potentially one of the best players in this league, but what I'm not going to have is what you're doing last season in these situations. When I've watched you on the video, what I need you to do in one of my teams is when you're not on the ball, work hard. When you're not on the ball, track back. When you're not on the ball, put your foot in." And I thought Finn Azaz was great when he come on. So for those 2 reasons alone, I think Whittaker's going to have his work cut out to stay in the starting 11 moving forward.
He's been on 15 minutes and he's got an assist. He's contributed with that beautiful weighted pass over the top.
Fantastic.
That's how you make an impact. That's what Whittaker needs to do. We're not getting on his back. We just want him to do that because we can see it. It's in him. You'll always be remembered for realising potential. So,
Cuts, I'll let you have the final word. I seen you want to come in there.
Well, I just think every year, for as long as I've been going, there's been a scapegoat where fans get on people's backs. I just urge them not to get on Whittaker's back. For this football club we've had, it's a pretty big outlay at the moment that we've put on him. Like we've all said, you can see that there's talent there. Let's sort of put our arm around him. Ultimately, he has to deliver. I agree with that. But I just don't want it to be sort of a Ian Acho situation from last year where fans are booing him when he's going off and massive applause when he's getting substituted. Let's just try and get behind him and get the best out of him that we possibly can, because ultimately it benefits this football club that we want to see succeed.
You can clearly see he's interested. He wants to succeed, but there's just something not quite right for me. And I think it's up to the manager, and it'll be good management if he can bring that out of him, and he'll become an all-round better player, and it'll benefit him and us.
Yeah, I think Rob Edwards is the type of manager that wants the fans right behind all the players, all the time. And I don't think Rob Edwards would take kindly to that type of treatment for any of his players. And I don't think at the minute the fans will give any players that type of treatment, because things are going well. There's a good atmosphere at the club. There's a good feel-good factor about Rob Edwards, and the players, seem to be trying their hearts out, which is all we ask as Boro fans. We always say that, as long as they're trying for the fans and the shirt, that's all we ask, and we're certainly getting that in abundance. So you did tick on it there, Bandy, about the third goal, the killer goal, absolutely fantastic. Ball by Finn Azaz onto another player who probably falls into the Morgan Whittaker category. Delano Bergzog.
Yeah, I'm still not too enamoured by Bergzog, because again, he's got all the talent in the world, but he doesn't exercise it. I just want him to do that every week. It's frustration. I've not got anything against that particular player. I just see when players have talent, I want to see that talent realised, and it's so frustrating when it's not. I get this impression he sort of picks and chooses when he wants to perform, and I don't know, just a bit lackadaisical at times, a bit passive. But he was on the ball today, and I've always preferred him as an impact player rather than a starter. So I think we saw the best of Bergzorg today, and he probably should be happy with that, because I don't think he's deserving of a start. Hansen's got to be starting ahead of him now, just purely on what we've seen in 45 minutes. So Bergzorg's probably accepting that he's going to be a bit part, which, like I say, I think it suits him.
There's been rumours that obviously if Middlesbrough get their main targets in, they might be open to let the likes of Delano Bergzorg or Marcus Forss move on. Cuts, would you like to see Delano Bergzorg stay? You know, he is a good impact player. He doesn't tend to do it when he's starting games. But would you like to see Delano Bergzorg stay, Cuts?
Personally, I would, yeah. I think, like Graham said, he's shown glimpses when he is an impact player coming off the bench. I think it was quite telling against Doncaster that Force didn't get a start, and that we played our only out-and-out striker, possibly risking injury, and it would have put us in a right mess today. I think the bench and players that weren't on the bench on the cup game, that's pretty telling. That if we get the right players in, it's pretty obvious to see who will be trying to get out of the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Edwards has got a measure now of most of his players, and I think he knows who's capable and who isn't. And I think the majority of fans would probably agree with his decisions. He's starting to pick teams now, which fans would pick, which is pleasing.
I think one surprising one for me, though, is I thought Force would have been exactly the type of player that Edwards would love. Runs his socks off, works really hard, defending from the front. I'm quite surprised that Force didn't get a start on the cup game, to be honest with you. Because, like I say, I thought he would have been right up his cup of tea or whatever it is. I was going to say, I don't know, mumbling me words.
It'll be beat
Right up his alley.
tonight, hopefully.
That's it, right up his alley. Yeah.
I knew what you meant. Bandy, Rob Edwards today, I thought, as he did against Swansea, absolutely superb with his substitutions again. As you say, half time, he brought on Hansen for Kante, impact. He took off Whittaker for Azaz, impact. He took off Conway for Bergzorg, impact. And just late to show it up in the last few minutes to Silveira, who I thought started the game, had a difficult few moments early on, but grew into the game and actually ended up having a pretty decent game again, did Sammy Silveira. He came off late on after he was tired for Borges. Again, good subs, impact subs, right time.
Great timing, absolutely impeccable. I was crying out at half time, like I said, just bridge that gap between midfield and Conway on his own. And instead of waiting maybe 10, 15 into the second half, he's hooked Bergzorg, who went off?
Whittaker.
He's hooked Whittaker.
And Conway went off for Bergzorg.
Yeah. So he's made the timings at the right time, and it's impacted the game. So absolutely perfect. He's brought Hansen on. Like I say, he's not waited 10 minutes, 15. Carrick possibly would have. He'd have probably waited till that magical 70-minute mark, which we saw all too often. But he's brought him straight on, and he's put Hackney back into midfield, which was perfect, and he's brought Kante off. So it worked a treat, and it gave us that platform then to hit them on transition and get them turned quickly, and it was brilliant. Great substitution, and like you say, the ones latter into the game, I think we were just seeing the game out then, and it was done and dusted. Once the second went in, it was comfortable.
John, you coming in?
I think the most impressive thing for me today was, other than some excellent performances, at the start of the season he said that he wants us to press high up the pitch. He wants us to have the ball in the opposition's half. So last season, if we'd have been 1-0 up, we would have been tippy-tapping the ball about in our own half, inviting pressure. I never once felt threatened in that second half, because we were, for 2 league games in, and them players have completely bought into what he wants to do. They were running the socks off right in their faces, what you expect from Millwall as an opposing fan. We were doing it to them in the second half. That was the biggest plus point for me today. Obviously the result, but seeing that he's implemented it and they've all bought in after 2 league games, running the socks off, perfect for me.
We played them at their own game. We were almost Millwall-esque at times with I'll say it again, our housery. There's something embedded in that team now where we're a little bit horrible, particularly at the back with Ayling. It's working. Alfie Jones is a menace. You don't want to play against him. Fry's aggressive now. He's worked on something pre-season. He looked a little bit passive for me last season. He's got the captaincy, so he's now got to stand tall and lead this team. And so far, so good. I was always quite sceptical of giving Fry the captaincy, but at the moment, if it's working, then you don't want to rip that up. Keep it going.
It felt like a game like you mentioned under Michael Carrick, if he's latter time at the club, where, like John says, we would have been 1-0 up, saying you need to change it, you need to bring a couple of subs on to get higher up the pitch to kill the game off. He wouldn't have done it. Like John says, would have tippy-tappied around at the back and probably conceded late and ended up with a 1-1.
Yeah,
that's why I'm all in with Rob Edwards. He sees the game we're seeing at the moment. Things can change, but at the moment he's seeing the game we're seeing, and he's making the changes at the right time.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned the word there, Bandy, housery, and I've got it wrote down here.
It's
So
refreshing.
I think you've seen my notes, but I've got it wrote down here, right? That today for me, two big things which I loved was leadership in the togetherness on and off the pitch.
Yeah.
Players like Luke Ayling, Alfie Jones, Hayden Hackney, Morris, Fry stood up, puffed the chests out, and went toe to toe when we needed them. Yeah. And secondly, housery, something that's been lacking from this Middlesbrough team for years. Yeah. I'm sick of seeing teams rocking up the riverside, doing it to Middlesbrough, and celebrating in front of their own fans. And of recent times, Coventry, Sunderland, Leeds, Burnley, all doing it to us, right? Today, it was nice to see Hackney with his fingers in his ears to the fans. It was nice to see Bergzog irritating the fans. It was nice to see George Edmondson, what a superstar, got himself booked. He wasn't even playing. Or just, having to go to the Millwall fans, saying 2-0 to the Millwall fans, causing absolute ruckus on the sideline. You've got Rob Edwards on the touchline, jumping up and down like Zebedee. Brilliant. That's what we need. You need a little bit of devilment in your team, both on and off the pitch, to get you these wins sometimes. And we've lacked that in spades for far too long.
Absolutely spot on. I pointed out to you, Dicko, the Swansea game. How many times was AD Viviash out of the dugout in the fourth official's ear all game? Yeah. Just being a menace, being a nuisance. It's psychologically, it works to an extent, I think. And it makes other teams think that we mean business. And it can put them off the stride a little bit. Look at Hackney today trying to take a corner. A bottle come on the pitch. So we want a bit of that.
He was laughing at the fans as well for doing
brilliant.
it. So,
and I think this new sort of dynamic that really, really suits us, and I think it suits Morris because he's one of the biggest ones for me in the middle of that park who enjoys a bit of housery as well. He doesn't mind taking it, but he can dish it out. For a little stocky guy, I think he's great. He was man of the match for me today. I think it was class. And then Fry was just short after him.
I think one thing for me, we are going to play better teams in this division, but
yes,
we won't go to a place that's more fiery than the Den. So if we can stick our chest out at the Den and give them it back after they've been giving them dogs abuse, we can do it anywhere. That's a big plus point from today as well.
Yeah, definitely. Bandy, you just touched on man of the match. So,
Aidan Morris
for you.
Yeah.
He had a terrific second half, to be fair.
It was class. And then you're looking at Fry very close. I thought Ayling was up there again. I thought he was great. But again, we're establishing leaders, which is imperative if we're going to keep this run going of clean sheets and 4 goals in 2 games, which is quite incredible, really, when you look at the fixtures we've had.
And 2 clean sheets, which is massive.
And 2 clean sheets. And Saul Bryn was fantastic today. I thought he was great. Came out, caught the ball when he needed to, punched a couple. There's one where he got one in the ribs when he punched it. Brave. And he's a front foot keeper. He's alert. Any ball that comes over the top, he's generally ready to come and get it.
Distribution's really good as well.
Distribution's really good.
He's taking his opportunity. Good throws out as well. Gets one the attack quickly with his throws. Good with his feet. Doesn't take any chances. Saul Bryn's looks a really good goalkeeper at championship level. Cuts, who was your man the match?
There was a few really standout performances there. I thought Jones was really solid. I thought Fry had an excellent game. But this is a message to the club. If anyone's listening, Kieran Scott, whoever, if you sell Hayden Hackney for £20 million, you must be mental. That second half performance today was absolutely outstanding. If there's any Premier League clubs watching and think they can get him for 20 million, I can't believe he hasn't gone for 20 million. Whack that price right up. He's worth far more than 20 million pounds. Honestly, that second half performance was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So for that alone, I'm giving it with.
I sometimes take him for granted because I can see them attributes in his game. It comes natural to him. He's such a clever player. He's brilliant. And because he will go to the Premier League, he'll become an even better player. You look at Tav now at Bournemouth, the way he's moved on. He's gone another level. Watched him tonight against Liverpool. Never give the ball away. His first touch is impeccable. Linking up, making runs, strong as an ox. Hackney be the same.
There's nothing he can't do. He works his socks off. He doesn't mind putting his foot in. He's a good passer of the ball. Chips in with a few goals. Okay, I think that's something he can improve and get a few more. But he's still only, what is he, 23? 20 million pounds is nothing in today's market. I keep saying if Sunderland got 30 odd million for Bellingham, Hackney's got to be right up near that price. 30 million at least.
The frustrating thing is,
I totally agree with. I have to say, I totally agree with Cuts on everything he said there. Spot on. I think there'll be a lot of Premiership clubs looking at him again after his performance today, which is a little bit of a worry getting so close to the window. I agree with you. If we can hang on to him, it'll be a massive plus for this football club moving forward. If we add to the squad, which we'll talk about in a moment, and manage to keep Hayden Hackney. For me, he was the man of the match. There were some great performances. I agree with Bandy, Alfie Jones, Morris was superb. We had some good performances. But one thing I will say, what I'm really encouraged with, is we're talking now, we've mentioned the players there, and last week, we're mentioning something we haven't had for a while, which is a spine. We've just mentioned Sol Bryn, goalkeeper. You've mentioned Dale Fry. You've mentioned Alfie Jones. You've mentioned Luke Ayling. They're your three centre-backs. We've mentioned Morris. We've mentioned Hackney. That's your spine. And then you bring the game changers in and around them. That's a really good mix. A really good mix. So, again, I'm going to do an urge as well to Steve Gibson. Keep getting your checkbook out, son. Keep spending that money. We know it's there. Get it out. Get it spent. And you could just get a massive windfall come the end of the season.
There's only one frustrating thing with Hackney for me is he clearly wants to still play here as well. And
absolutely.
There's a whiff
and he's proud to play for the club. And the fact that he turned down probably trebling his wage at Ipswich Town to stay at Middlesbrough tells you everything about his commitment to Middlesbrough Football Club. And you need to keep them type of players. If we don't go up this season, but we have a good season and Hayden Hackney has a terrific season, we're not going to lose out as a football club. We'll still get the money for him in the summer anyway. So let's try and show some ambition. Let's keep our best players. We've just sold Rav van den Berg. We've sold £45 million worth of player in the last 7 months. Let's start bringing a few in and let's start backing this manager who's looking to be a good fit. He's got the right ideas. He's got the fans backing. Let's give him the backing and let's see where the season takes us. If the season goes dramatically pear-shaped, you've always got January to move a player on if you need to balance the books. You can move somebody on in January, like we did with Latty Alat, like we did with Morgan Rogers. But let's see where we're on January. Let's give Rob Edwards till January to see where he can take this Middlesbrough side. And Steve Gibson might just get a surprise. I
think we've got the two best central midfielders in the division. If we can keep Hackney in this window, then there's still an inevitability about it all in January, which is a worry because, touch wood, we go on a run. We go on a very good run, and we can be up there with them two as our central cogs, and then it all gets broken up in January when he will probably move on. But it's tricky because we don't know. I think he'll probably still move before the window's out, sadly.
Well, you mentioned a bit of players in, players out there. You've just mentioned you think Middlesbrough have got the two best central midfield players in the league in Morris and Hayden Hackney.
100%. I thought that last season, but we just had probably the worst defence in the league, which let us down.
However, Bandy, we have just been licked with Severy Napan, who plays centre midfield from Manchester City, who is, unless you've been on the moon, Middlesbrough fans, I'm sure you know, he's 18 years old. He's just been signed last month to Manchester City for £12.5 million. Middlesbrough look at the moment like they're going to get that deal done this weekend. He's 18. He's played 62 games for Rosenborg, scoring 14 goals already. and he's got 5 caps for Norway's under 21s already. And if you have a look at him on YouTube, he's absolutely mustard. If we can get him to the club to play alongside Hackney in Morris, we've got a real chance to do something this season, in my opinion. Thoughts on signing Napan, Bandy, if we're lucky enough to get him?
I watched his footage. He's absolutely dynamite. Quality player. Plays off the left, plays off the right, plays central. He's got a little chop where he can chop inside and link play. He can shoot from anywhere. He can pretty much do anything. An all-action hero. If someone said to me, you're going to get a player, he's crossed between Juninho and Kaká, and he's going to be the best player in the world, then that's him. You wouldn't believe him, but he looks absolutely class. You can see why Man City...
He reminds me of a better-looking Peter Beardsley.
Oh, he reminds me of all the best players I've ever seen. He looks fantastic. I'm getting carried away. Of course I am. I need to see him in the
He's got that little chop, the little switch the foot left to right, left to right, left to right. It's like the same trick that does they do the same trick all the time, but the players and the defenders still fall for it every single time. Yeah. Peter Beardsley used to have one exactly the same. You think, how do the players not know he's going to do that? He does it every week, yet they still do the same trick and it works every week. They're the best players who do that. It's magical. And this lad, he looks like he's got that one in his locker.
He looks absolutely fantastic. I know I'm getting carried away, but you can only say what you see, and he looks terrific. You can see why Man City have paid, what, 15 million, is it?
12.5 million.
12.5 million. Well, his stats stack up at 18-year-old. 70 games for Rosenborg, 14 goals.
62 games, 14 goals.
Yeah, 18-year-old. Come on. It's fantastic. He could be a shoe-in replacement for De Bruyne in time, the way he plays. So that's the level
I'm looking at Kutz's face, yeah.
Kutz, you trust me, mate. I spot a player, I know a player. He could play.
An all-action hero. Who's a mixture.
He obviously hasn't seen him yet, has he?
Who's a mixture of Juninho and Kaká, who's good enough to replace De Bruyne. Why are they even loading him out with us?
I'm telling you, honestly.
Mate, I hope you're right.
And like you, Kutz, he's better looking than Peter Beardsley.
I've not had a drink either. This is orange, so I'm excited. Let me get excited about a player, please.
Hey, it's good to see. It's good to see.
I'm having sleepless nights. We haven't even signed him. I watched that YouTube footage. I couldn't get to sleep. I had to go and watch it again. My son's the same. Maybe Harry's brainwashed me a little bit, but he's like, Dad, this player is the real deal. He's going to win the Ballon d'Or. I've got to see this lad. Anyway, he looks class. So we'll see.
This is getting clipped. This is getting clipped, Bandy. Middlesbrough going to have a Ballon d'Or winner.
There you go.
Other players linked. Check. I can't even pronounce his name. Sabali from Metz in France. He's a Senegalese international. 4 caps, 1 goal. He scored against England recently. You might have seen that.
Yeah. Did good finish.
He's 5'6", quick. He can play up front. He can play on the right wing. Middlesbrough close to getting him, but Metz are being tough with a fee. Another exciting signing if we can get him over the line.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of this lad on YouTube. He's a mixture of Roger Miller, Roger Miller and George Witter.
He's 5'6". Did you say? And he's a striker.
He can play up front, he can play on the right.
Still.
Yeah,
I've got a chance still. Get me in.
Listen, it's exciting, isn't it? It's exciting to be linked with these players. He scored against England at the City Ground when they beat England. Right. Now, I've read a few press reports and they've said that the initial bids have been turned down and we're probably not going to go back with another. But you've got to play a little bit of hardball. We don't know Metz's situation. Maybe they'll get back in touch and say, okay then. But it's exciting times, it is. We've started seasons in the past really slowly and there hasn't been much optimism. Let's embrace it now. I said last week, we've got a few points on the board. That's 2 wins now. We all would have accepted 6 out of 9, but we go to Norwich next week absolutely flying. If we get a few more players through the door, build the optimism. We've only missed out on the playoffs last year on the last day, and we've started the last couple of seasons woefully. If we can start this season pretty well and then build up the squad before the window shuts, who's to say we won't be in there or thereabouts? Let's be optimistic.
I think the last 2 seasons, Kutz, I might be wrong, but you can check this. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think I'm right. The last 2 seasons, it's took us until nearly the end of September to get 6 points.
Yeah, but these almost feel like 6 bonus points.
I agree.
I thought we were so ill prepared for this season, and I didn't write us off, but we're notoriously slow starters, and it angers me how we can't prepare all pre-season to get a few points on the board. So we're not playing catch up throughout September, October, because we almost give our season away too early. Whereas now there's a little bit of pressure on us. I've looked at the league table as well. We're second.
You know what this is,
which is a worry because I don't know what to do. I don't know how to react. I know it's early. I'm talking rubbish.
Do you know what this is, Cuts? This is, last season we made all the signings, started terribly. Season before, expectation started terribly. This season, no expectation. Pitchforks have been out, rightly so in my opinion, by the slow start and the slow transfer dealings and all the rest of it. 2 wins out of 2. It's typical Boro, John, isn't it?
Absolutely. And just for a few of the Twitter people who've been having a bit of a go at Steve, and you look at Sheffield Wednesday and what they're currently going through, I don't know how true this is, but I'm sure I saw the other day that we're the 4th highest spenders in the Championship. Be careful what you wish. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I'm saying. We all want to be successful. Do we want to end up in a state like Sheffield Wednesday? There's been bigger clubs than us that have played in League One. Sunderland were down there for 3 or 4 years. Leeds have been down there. Come on, let's have a little bit of realism here. Yes, we want to go for it, but we want to go for it within our boundaries. And the person who knows our boundaries the most is the current guy who's in charge of the football club. So I've stuck up for Whittaker, and I'm now sticking up a little bit for Steve. I do totally get where the fans are coming from.
But I'll
look at the other teams.
Cuts, I'll just go the other side and stick up for the fans on this a little bit, because I've had me say on the social medias, and I'm not against Steve Gibson at all. The man's a legend, and I know what he's done for this football club. But at the end of the day, it starts at the top when you're looking at failure. In Middlesbrough, in the last 17 years, have been in the Premier League 1 year in the last 17 years. Now, all the fans are asking is for ambition. So they're looking at bringing in £45 million worth of player in the last 7 months, and nothing's been happening all summer. We've been waiting for a striker to arrive at the football club since, Latialat left in January. That hasn't happened. We're now going into the 3rd game of the season against Norwich. We still haven't got a left back. So there is big questions. You can see why the fans are asking the question, why aren't you spending the money? Why aren't you bringing the players in? Rob Edwards is doing a great PR. He's got the fans behind him. All the fans are wanting is to see their manager, who they rate, being backed. And all they're seeing is a lot of people leaving the football club. We've just sold Rav Vandenberg. So I don't think it's unhealthy for supporters to ask questions. I think people at the top should be held accountable, should be asked questions. And also, if Steve Gibson, by the end of this window, has brought in a striker and brought in the left back, in Middlesbrough flying high by the end of the window, Steve Gibson will also deserve all the praise in the world. But people are allowed to have their opinion, as and when it's happening. And I think fans have rightfully been questionable in questioning Steve Gibson over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, wondering what's going on, especially when they've had to stump up £600-700 for one of the most expensive season tickets in the league. I think it's only fair and it's healthy. And as I say, at the end of the window, if Steve Gibson gets all these players in, well, fair play to him. But there's no harm in questioning things.
I completely agree with that. I'll take you back to when we had Gary Monk, and we overspent massively on average players. Now that set us back more than people realise. And I don't think that'll ever happen at this football club again. So, whenever this window shuts, whether it's 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know when it is, to be honest. I'm sick of it.
I think it's the 31st of August, I think.
But when the window shuts, let's judge him then. Let's judge the whole thing. Then I think some of the things that have been written have been, like I say, ridiculous. And if the stats right, we're the 4th highest spenders in the Championship.
I'll be very surprised if that's true, John, because in terms of net spend, Middlesbrough haven't spent very much at all the last couple of years. They've always broke even and made a profit. In terms of what you spend, we might be high, but when you put what we've actually sold alongside what we've spent, Middlesbrough pretty much quids in. We've just sold £45 million worth of player in the last 7 months, so I don't think that'll be true, to be honest. But that doesn't matter. As long as Middlesbrough are running themselves professionally and they're running at a profit, and they're running the football club the right way, I'm all for that. But at the same time, you know, this, we're getting off topic, but that's fine. This football club was supposed to have a golden thread when Jonathan Woodgate came in. And then Kieran Scott joined the football club, and it was, we want to be following a model, likes of Brentford, likes of your Bournemouths, likes of your Brightons, where you're bringing in players for little amounts of money, polishing them up, making them into diamonds and moving on. And as the years progress, the football club will make a healthy profit to eventually be able to go on to bigger and better things, as those football clubs have done. So I understand why the fans are questioning Middlesbrough when they've seen Tavernier leave, Chuba Akpom leave, Latia Lat leave, Morgan Rogers leave, Rav Vandenberg leave, Jed Spence leave, all for lots of money. And yet we're not bringing in players of the required level at the moment to what the fans expect. Now, as I say, by the end of the window, John, that could change. But if that's at Middlesbrough's model, then if we're not bringing in the required players to get to where we need to be, the model's flawed. We're not doing a Brentford who are in the Premier League. We're not doing a Brighton who are in the Premier League. What we're doing is following their model in terms of shipping players out. But what we're not doing is putting the money for players back in.
Yeah,
and that's where the concerns are.
Your key ones aren't being replaced. You're trying to replace with players in the hope that they actually turn out to be good. It's pot luck at most of the time. For me, it's not how much we spend, it's how we spend it and how it can impact the team. And I think it's imperative. You can pick up bargains and you can polish them up. But when you do polish them up and become good players, the crux of the matter is, can you keep them? Because inevitably they will get attention and you'll get bids coming in for them. So I get it. It's tricky. It's a balancing act constantly. And it's unfair at times on fans. It's unfair on managers. I still think there's managers down the line, go back to Wilder, Warnock, even Mowbray. They've probably been sold short a little bit because of the financial situation, particularly since financial fair play has come to the fore.
And I'll say it again, Bandies, I've said many times over. If somebody from the football club just come out and explained the situation, whether the fans agreed with it or didn't agree with it, if you hear the situation, what position we're in financially, and the reasons why, maybe we're not going out and spending £10 million or £12 million on a striker that we've needed since January, that's all fine because you've explained why. But it's radio silence, season after season, by the chairman, by Neil Bowser, and I think somebody should come out, once a year, and just give the fans a little bit of an update on how the football club is being run. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Doesn't even have to be a press conference. Send an email to supporters, season ticket holders.
Yeah. The problem with that is though, if you've got a footballer at your club that you think's worth £12 million, and you've just announced to all your 20,000 season ticket holders that you haven't got a pot, they're gonna come in and bid £7 million for him, knowing that you're skinned. Or alternatively, if you tell them you've got plenty of money and you're going to go for it, and you go for a player that you value at 10 million, they're going to see he's worth 15 million. You can't do that in a business, can you?
Well,
I don't think you need to detail the actual financials.
That's right.
Just spell out the level of ambition where you're trying to aspire to. That's all.
Diplomatic. If you're saying as a club, John,
for fans to absorb, doesn't have to be true. Just communicate.
If you're saying as a club, John, your ambition is to make, hopefully, the playoffs, but it's going to be really tough. Ask this season financially to make the playoffs, but that's the aim of the club. You're not telling anybody your finances, but what you're giving the supporters the heads up on is
hope.
We're hoping to make the playoffs. So they're not looking at the top two. They're not even thinking the playoffs is going to be on. They're thinking the club's ambition is they're hoping to make the playoffs. So it brings down expectation. And you haven't given away your finances. But at the minute, the club don't say anything. The supporters see £45 million worth of player leaving the football club and think, great, this summer, Gibson's put me season ticket price up. We're going to have a go. We're going to go for it. We're going to try and get in the Premier League. Hold on, we haven't signed nobody. Hold on, Rav Vandenberg's now leaving. Hayden Hackney could be leaving. And that's when supporters get uneasy, and that creates this vacuum of hate or comments on social media or whatever. That's what creates it in the first place. But like I say, for me, there's no harm in supporters putting their opinions out there as long as they're respectful. And
Oh,
Secondly, by the end
Yeah.
of the window, if Steve Gibson brings in the players that we're linked with and we manage to keep Hayden Hackney, I'll be the first one to put my hands up and say,
100%.
fantastic,
Me too.
fantastic.
I think the signings so far have gone a long way to sort of appeasing that antagonism between the hierarchy and fans. I think the signings have been really, really good.
I agree.
And I would like a few more, just because it, like you say, it gives us hope. Then it gives you that impetus to want to support more and get behind them, and you can see light at the end of the tunnel. Because it was doom and gloom in the summer. No one had a clue what was going on. We didn't even know who was going to be manager. And I still think it all happened a little bit too late. But absolute credit to Rob Edwards. He's galvanised that team very, very quickly.
Yep.
And we actually look like a team. We really do look like a good side. And the bedrock for that beauty is the way we perform at the back and then play out. And he's starting to fit the little pieces together with some of these attacking players that we're looking at. And we've seen one today in Hansen. And hopefully the lad from City will come and perform like Juninho and Kaká.
So
Let's hope his name going forward won't be Caquinho.
Right. Before we go, we'll quickly talk about Norwich next week on Saturday. We might have Caquinho in the team, according to John Cutts, possibly.
Brilliant.
We'll go to Norwich. They've had an indifferent start. They lost 2-1 to Millwall first day. They won today against Portsmouth away 2-1. They've had a lot of change this summer. They've let Borg Signs has left to Porto. They brought in players like Harry Darling from Swansea. They spent a few quid. It's going to be a very, very difficult game down at Norwich, as it always is. How do you see the Norwich game going, John? And would you like to see some more new faces before then?
Yeah, obviously, when you're winning, confidence in that bus or the plane or whatever they're coming home in tonight, this week, training will be bouncing. Everyone will be busting a gut to try and get in a team. It's a tough place to go, Norwich, but it's no tougher than Millwall. Now,
I agree. Yeah.
can we
I
go
think
there?
you see a totally different game.
Yeah, I agree.
Norwich are quite expansive. They like to play through the thirds and move the ball quickly. So we might get pulled around a bit, to be honest, but it'll be totally different to the onslaught we had in the first 20-25 today. But if we can be as rigid as at the back as we were today, then we can pick them off on the counter-attack. I'd probably say a draw. I think when you go to places like that, if you can go there and not get beat, it's a good result. I didn't expect a win today. I thought a draw best. So I'm buzzing that we've got 6 points.
What if we're bringing some of these players that we're linked with, Sabali or Nepan? We even linked with David Strelec again, the striker, which would be a good signing as well. We'll link with him as well. If we're bringing these players to go with what we've got, can you see Rob Edwards look at the change the formation? Because we've been so good these first 2 games in this formation, but when you look at it, just say we get these players in, and then you've got obviously Finn Azaz to come back into the team. You've got Tommy Conway. Where are we going to sort of? You've got Sonjay Hansen. Sorry, I forgot about him there. Sonjay Hansen. How are you going to fit all these players into the current formation? Because those players are probably too good to sit on the bench. So
I think he's comfortable in what he knows, and I don't think he's going to divert away from the 3-4-2-1. I think he'll stick with that as often as possible. He'll probably change it in games to combat what the opposition are doing. He may twist it around to a 3-5-2. So I think at the moment Conway could probably do with a little bit more help up front. He looked isolated again. He's flailing his arms around. That's frustration. He's probably annoyed about his penalty incident. Probably annoyed that he come off, and he's obviously just desperate for a goal. He's done all right in pre-season. Got a couple of tap-ins, which is great for any striker, but it's just not quite happened for him yet. So he possibly could do with a bit of help, but that help might come through the addition of Hansen, who looks a totally different dynamic to somebody like Bergzorg or Whittaker, who, like we touched on earlier, for me are still quite passive and not as good as link-up players as you'd want them to be. So I think Tommy's getting a little bit frustrated. His supply line is pretty poor at the moment. I think he relies on wing-backs to put the ball into him, maybe 2-3 yards in front of him, just so he can get ahead of his man and tap them in. That was the idea, I think, in pre-season, and Rob Edwards mentioned that. He wants him to be that little little fox in the box. And when the ball isn't coming to you in the box, as a striker, you get frustrated and you drop deep. You want the ball because every player on a pitch wants to touch the ball as much as possible. And he just looks a little bit of a forlorn figure. But I would say to him, just keep working hard. Your chances will come. You'll get a chance. And once you get one, he'll go on a run, I'm sure. So I like Tommy up front. I know he's coming for a little bit of early stick, but it's far too early to start be judging him.
Cuts, can you see a Middlesbrough change of formation if we bring more of these attacking type players in, or do you think we should stick to what we're doing at the moment?
Yeah, maybe. But I think he said, hasn't he, that the players that they're looking to bring in, he wants them to be versatile so they can play in more than one or two positions. I think he's probably got, like most coaches, a preferred formation, which is one that we're seeing at the moment, which is making us more solid at the back. Now, with better attacking players and a bit more quality up front, if you stay compact at the back and in midfield, which we saw under Karanka, you can have very successful seasons. You don't need stacks of goals up front. You can get promoted by being solid. So let's all hope. That's all what we want. Let's hope we can do it.
I think it's the best way to get promoted in this league. It's pretty hard to play your way out of it. You got to dig in. You got to be horrible.
Listen, guys, I'm going to wrap up because I've got to go and pack my suitcase, and I'm off to get a John Cutler type mahogany tan in Corfu.
Are you going to be the Corfu final boss?
The Corfu final boss. That'll be me.
That's a video I want to see.
Right, so we'll wrap up. Thanks for coming on, boys. Appreciate it. It's been a tremendous Saturday anyway. Middlesbrough are still joint top of the championship. Still joint top with Rob Edwards' gorgeous Reds. So remember, Boro fans, don't say typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it. And we'll be back, remember, on YouTube, live on the Red, live on Facebook, on the 26th of August at 6 p.m. Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.